Desmond Doss, Historical Heroes, World War II. Desmond Doss was born in Lynchburg, Virginia on February 7, 1919. He was also a Seventh-day Adventist, which is a Christian denomination. He also was a pacifist, which meant that he did not believe in violence. When World War II started, he was a conscientious objector, which means he refused to serve in the military or use a weapon, but he ended up enlisting into the military in 1942. When joining the United States military, he was assigned to a rifle company. When he was told by his commanding officer to pick up a weapon he was assigned to, he refused to touch it. Since he was a pacifist, he refused to touch a weapon, and because of this, his own regiment would pick on him by hitting him and even beating him up in the night, knowing he wouldn't fight back. But it ended up becoming a medic. Medics, according to the Geneva Convention, a medic could not be fired upon, but in the Pacific Theater, the Japanese knowingly would fire on the medics, seeing them as a valuable target anyway. And that is the reason why most medics in the Pacific Theater didn't wear medical insignia or the Red Cross on their helmets. It would make them more of a target, not less of a target. And again, according to the Geneva Convention, a medic is allowed to fire a weapon, but after doing so, they are allowed to be fired at by the enemy. Desmond Doss earned his company's respect during their first 25-mile march. At the end of the march, he checked everyone's feet to make sure they were all good, because most of the people's feet were bleeding or blistered. Desmond Doss was part of the 77th Division. The Battle of Guam in 1944 was Desmond's first taste of frontline combat. In the Battle of Guam, Desmond Doss helped 3 soldiers who were injured by red-hot shrapnel when a grenade exploded. Along with many other soldiers, Desmond helped in the Battle of Guam. In the Battle of Leyte, also in 1944, he was almost killed when he was climbing a tree for coconuts, because the rations he was given had meat, so he couldn't eat them because he was a vegetarian. So he climbed the tree for coconuts. While climbing the tree, he was shot at by poorly aimed Japanese machine gunners. It was later found out that the Japanese gunners were drunk. The Battle of Okinawa, it was the bloodiest battle in the Pacific Theater. It was the Japanese last stand. The battle started on April 1st, 1945. Desmond Doss and his company was assigned to climb the 400-foot high cliff, which was nicknamed by the soldiers as Hacksaw Ridge. As soon as they got to the top of the cliff, they were instantly fired at by Japanese forces. He would help many of the injured comrades, but when the Japanese pushed through the American forces, the Americans had to get off the cliff. But Desmond Doss refused to retreat. He stayed up on the cliff all night helping his injured comrades, even helping injured Japanese, under constant fire. There is one story where Desmond Doss was helping an injured man. As Japanese soldiers went towards Doss, Desmond buried the injured soldier under dirt, and Desmond hid under a dead soldier. One of the Japanese soldiers used a bayonet on the dead body Desmond was under, and the bayonet missed Doss by an inch. Another account is when Desmond helped another one of his comrades and poured water over his eyes because he had dirt on his face. And when he did, the soldier said, "I thought I was blind," because the mud was covering his eyes. Every time he saved someone, he would say, "Please, Lord, help me get one more." On that night when Desmond Doss was up there all alone on Hacksaw Ridge, he saved 75 soldiers by himself. He got the soldiers down the 400-foot cliff by tying a rope to them and lowering them down each, which burned his hands severely. When his service was over in 1946, he received America's highest reward, the Medal of Honor. On March 23, 2006, Corporal Desmond Doss died. His story is a great story of bravery and courage.